Mike Locker. I'm sure you watch all the videos of me doing, well, actually, all two of you that watch the videos of me doing ribbon mics, but I just wanted to share that I'm in a band. My band's called the Chavez Ravine. I was in a band called Distortion Felix. The intro song is my band, the Chavez Ravine, and the outro song as well. And I'm also a producer and a recording engineer. I've been recording since maybe the late 90s, and I can proudly say Steve Albini showed me how to record. I should say he showed me the ropes of getting started, and he's such a huge influence on me that I can share these tracks with you. And I will say the origin definitely comes from, his work ethic and also being creative, just trying to help independent music, which I hopefully am doing. So I just moved into a new studio in the beginning of the year. Took me about 4 months of some crazy build outs using almost all recycled material. And then finally in April, I was contacted by two of my favorite people, Davo and Jeff Haba from a band called Mother Tongue. They're actually still actively playing. They're touring in Germany in November, but they have a new band called Werewolf Etiquette. It was a two-piece band. When they describe their influences, it's everywhere. I mean, in a good way. Everything they told me they wanted to do sounded wonderful. So they came in, set up, threw me to the wolves, no pun intended. These are not sample drums. When you see those things where a guy says, hey, this compressor is great, and then he puts a sample drum set through it. What are you talking about? Or they do a drum demo where they put up some mics and then the drummer's playing with his slippers. It's not even loud. When you record a real drummer, it's dangerous. So the roof flew off this studio when Werewolf Etiquette started to play. And I want to share you being creative in a track. They played live, just drums and bass. So you'll hear that. And then I'll show you what we did. So let's just start actually with this. Jeff had a melody on the song, and I had this little toy set of bells. So I said, okay, take your melody. He knew what it was because he's a multi-instrumental guy, can play keyboards, he knows keys and notes. He knew exactly what to play on this little toy bell set. So I'm going to play you what he did, and actually it's a Lomo 19A19, about 6 inches above this little toy bell set. And then I'll show you what I did after that, which is pretty cool. So here's the bell set by itself, raw. Okay, that's a real mic. He's playing with a kind of a toy bell set. Then I got that sound. Once he recorded it, I ran it out into the studio, reamped it into my Sears Silvertone head, which is the same one like John Frusciante, Jack White. I love these heads, but that head is actually powering a Leslie, and it's the same Leslie used by Michael Beinhorn on Black Hole Sun. I happen to have my old studio at Analoger, and they have all of Michael Beinhorn's gear, so I got to see what that Leslie was. And then I took a little picture of it and went on Craigslist, and I got it. I actually got it from Jeff Pilson of Dawkin. So this is reamping of that clean mic'd toy bell set. This is the reamp going through my amp into a Leslie. Now put in the original sound. Now you think that would be enough because that's already cool. But I wanted to put a room mic up, so I used once again the 80s, or maybe it's 70s, I don't know, the Russian Lomo tube mic on the room on the Leslie cabinet. Now the close mic was a MA37 by Mojave. So this is the close mic and the Leslie room mic. Now I'll add the original. Now I'm going to add the drums and bass. That was crazy. So once they did that, I'm already like, this is so cool. He played Clavinet. Now he had one of those virtual synths on his laptop. So we did a total DI'd in office computer. And I already had in mind, because you just saw what I did with the little bow set, I had planned the same thing with his Clavinet. So here's the direct off the computer. This is just the DI. Then I ran that into my other Silvertone head, which is modified, a little bit more distorted, and it had a Marshall 412 cabinet with 65 watt Celestians, and now I'm going to add that to it as well. Okay, once we did that, I reamped it one more time into my Chavez Ravine pedal board, which I use live personally myself, and my Chavez Ravine amp. Now this is going to sound terrible, but I'll put it all together. That's pretty sick. So now I'm going to put it all together, and I'm going to let you hear all the parts now rocking. So the vocals are a MA37 tube mic made by Mojave. Here's his vocal, and I'll show you the gag I did.
Hurt people, hurt people. Hurt people, hurt people. Hurt people, hurt people.
Now what I did is I duplicated the track and I made it left and right for stereo. And it's the same track, just delayed left and right different times.
People, hurt people. Hurt 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 people, hurt people.
Wow, okay. Now that's just the tip of the iceberg. I do have other tracks that had other weird stuff, but what I just showed you was how to get something simple, like even the toy set of the bells, the computer clavinet, you run it to an amp, you have a rude mic, you do reamping, there's a left and right signal. So yeah, the clavs came out so wicked. I mean, they did was crazy. That's kind of like, hopefully will be something inspiring to you. This is a live band, track live, not to a click. There are no samples. There's no Fruity Loop plugin or giraffe distortion or anything. Now, just to give you an idea of some of the processing, the stereo mix that you just heard right now, the master bus has a Fairchild.
Hurt people, hurt people. 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 Hurt people, hurt people.
So that was just kind of the rundown of what I use. There's no smoking mirrors. I have plugins on stuff, but it's like the vocals have like delay. There's an API, compressor. He wanted a distorted vocal, so he used a decapitator. On the drums, there's really nothing. I have a reverb, which I showed you previously. That was a Hunt Sales gag. There's a Neve barely doing anything. There's a Neve barely doing anything. I am boosting a little bit of the low end on the snare. I just kind of like that sometimes. On the room mics, I have a reverb, and then I have them delayed. And that's the room. So then after that, we talk about, on the drums, there was a Pultec. And I did it in a previous video. I showed you what I did about this, but it's barely doing anything. And I did kind of change it per song. So if you would have saw the other song, I think there were some reverbs on the snare that are not active. Actually, let me go back to, yeah, there's no reverb on the snare on this song. So that is a rundown. The moral of the story is have fun. Make sure that when you record a band, that if you have the time, it's really cool to experiment. And instead of using plugins to like make it sound bigger or wider, use a microphone. Like if you have a guitar, put a mic on it and then pan it hard the opposite side, and you'll be shocked on how great it sounds. And there's not a lot of plugins that can do that. So be creative when you can, if you have the time. If you have some musicians that are really super talented and they're down for experimenting, that's a perfect example of a perfect storm of a raw dog song. Drums and bass, and then we built on it with the claves, the bells, the vocals, and there's other stuff in the song I wish I can show to you, but this song isn't out. This is Werewolf Etiquette. David and Jeff Hava, thank you for letting me do this. If you have any questions, leave a comment. My social media will be in the description. You can always hit me up. But I'm just trying to be inspiring to just say, don't believe all that stuff they tell you about getting a, they have a guy that like gets a sample drum set and he puts it into a compressor and he's like, hey man, this is cool. Well, if you got a real band, no drummer's gonna play like that. And I don't believe in sample packs. I mean, when you hear the radio, let me do a correction here. I love real bands. I love real stuff. When you talk about Queen and classic rock, and even if you get into like Blur, well, no, Blur did some stuff that was kind of interesting that was semi-sampled and weird, but still there was some live organic stuff. And then you talk about Radiohead, and I'm talking about more like Smile. It's still electronic. It's still somewhat acoustic. There's real amps. There's real playing. There's real stuff going on. That's what I really love. So tomato, take it with a grain of salt. I'm just giving you my opinion about be sharp, have fun, be creative, and don't always rely on a plug-in for stereo image. That sounds huge and was all reamping and microphones and two guys playing live. Werewolf Etiquette, Manny Nieto signing off. I hope you dug it. And here's my band, the Chavez Ravine.
It's pretty on the inside.